Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Today I've got a couple of Caniks. I've got the new Mete MC9 and I've got the TP9 Elite subcompact. Please don't forget to check out our website. Go to our affiliates page. You'll find discount codes for things like Mantis Axe and Core belts, linked to that cool little bore light that we use for lighting up the barrels. Use those links. It will often save you money, never will cost you any additional money, and helps the channel. And please consider supporting the channel on Player, formerly Utreon, where we can do some types of videos that are no longer allowed on YouTube. Both of these guns are basically loosely based upon the Walther P99, which when the patents on this expired, then many companies started making similar guns. And the Canik series, you go back to before the Mete, they've got a very similar trigger, and of course the P99 has a very unique trigger. The P99 trigger evolved into the PPQ trigger, which then evolved into the PDP. The PPQ trigger is one of the best triggers out there, and these Caniks have a very close trigger to the PPQ, both of them do. This one is just a hair heavier, but it's just, if you do them side by side, you can tell. But if you were to pick up one and then a week later pick up the other, you probably wouldn't notice it. So let's talk about these things. First, make sure they're both unloaded. The TP9 Elite came out before the Mete MC9. Mete MC9 is a relatively new gun, and this is, I've liked Caniks for a while. When I've looked at them, I've liked them, but this is the first one that fit my hand well. A lot of the earlier designs of the Canik, the way this part of the beaver tail was designed, it would hit this thumb knuckle, and it'd be uncomfortable. And when I picked this one up at the store, it actually fit right. So I bought it because I liked everything else about it, and I'd liked other Caniks I picked up. It was just that one nuance of their design that was a problem. So when I picked this up, I took it to the range and loved it from day one. One of the things you'll see about it is the trigger is very nice. Reasonable amount of take-up. It's not super short take-up, but it is really light, really clean take-up. Really short, crisp break, and it's relatively light. Nice short reset, right on the wall, except it does kind of, depending on how you let your finger bounce, because the reset is so smooth, you might end up just off the wall by a hair. But a really short, crisp break again. I'm going to try to do it where I don't let it bounce. Nope, I let it bounce each time, because it does kind of click, and you can hear it. You don't really feel it, so that kind of will give you a habit of going just a little off the wall. But then again, a nice, crisp break. That reset is short, it's light, the trigger is light, the initial take-up on it is so smooth that it's really inconsequential, and you can distinctly feel when you're approaching the wall. So it's really easy to stage this trigger. Some of the features that both of these have is ambi-slide stop slide release, front and rear serrations. They have easy takedown, so it's a Walther style takedown. They both have Picatinny rails. Interestingly enough, the Mete has a 3-slot and the TP9 has a 2-slot, but with the Glocks having 1-slots and the aftermarket being so adapted to Glock and their 1-slot, you really only need one. If you've got 2 or 3, it gives you more flexibility, but either one of these is going to work well. Both of them have ambi slide stop slide releases. They do have reversible mag catches, but neither one of them are ambi. So you can reverse them, but you pick one side or the other. And both of them have cocked striker indicators. Now when I've got them sitting here, you can see one of the noticeable differences between them. The TP9 is 1.45 inches wide, and the Mete MC9 is 1.12 inches wide. So it's coming in, it's that micro compact territory. So you've got the same capacity between the two of these. They both hold either 12, 15, or 17, depending on which magazine you put in them. The TP9 that I bought, this one, came with 2 12-round magazines. One flush that you saw in it when I picked it up, and one pinky extender along with a base plate that you can get rid of the pinky extender. And the MC9 came with a 12-round magazine, flush, and a 15-round magazine, which fits and kind of gives you a 3-finger grip. But the nice thing about these is the magazines are interchangeable. Doesn't look so pretty, but I can slop the magazines between them, and with the pinky extender mag in either one of them, you get a full 3-finger grip. So, or of course, if you put the extended 15-round magazine in, you also get a full 3-finger grip. So you've got the flexibility with either one of these. The big difference, of course, is that thickness and the weight. So 21.27 ounces for this guy, and this unloaded with an empty mag, and 24.8 ounces for this guy, unloaded with an empty mag. So you shed about 3.5 ounces going to the Mete MC9. You lose about 0.4 inches of width, actually 0.35 inches of width, give or take. And it's also shorter. It's 6.1 inches front to back, as opposed to 6.7. Now the height is real close, 4.52 for this guy versus 4.6 for this. So the height is, and not counting the red dot, of course, the height is kind of an insignificant difference, but that length and width is going to make it much easier to carry. And that can be quite significant if you're trying to put it someplace, pocket, ankle, or tight inside the waistband, especially in dress clothes. One other technical difference is to get the shorter slide, the Mete has a shorter barrel. It has a 3.18 versus a 3.6 inch barrel. With 9mm, that doesn't really make a significant difference. 9mm is designed to function with shorter barrels, and it works quite well with even shorter barrels than either one of these. Both have replaceable back straps. You can see here, you can pull the back strap off to change the shape of the back. Biggest difference that may make you go one of these or the other is the thinner grip. If you've got bigger hands, it can have a tendency to be possibly a little too small, a little too narrow. Especially with the flush magazine in, you kind of get your pinky hanging out and you're wrapping around, and you see my thumb comes all the way over to my knuckle. I'll make sure I got it all the way up in my hand. Thumb's actually crossing all the way over the knuckle. When you get into the slightly thicker grips, doesn't go quite as far. It still overlaps, but it doesn't go quite as far. And yeah, you may find it's a little easier to get a hold of the classic size double stack. These, and this is true of all of these, all Hellcat and all the different ones in this territory. It starts to get a little harder to get a hold of these. Other than that, you might say, well, what do I lose? Well, the back straps are there. All of the cosmetic and ergonomic features are there. They have the same sights, a nice bright white dot front sight and a blackout rear. And I don't like blackout rear sights, but they both have them. And both of them are optics ready. So you can also change the sights if you like to. So with them being optics ready, the sights are a little less important because you can put whatever you want on them. Now, one thing that may be different is your choice of optics. With the wider slide, you can do some of the bigger optics that are out there. This one happens to be a hollow sun. The narrower slides, the micro-compact territory, you generally want to put a narrower, smaller red dot on them. Now, if we were doing this video a year ago, that'd be a problem because there weren't very many. But by now, there's dozens of different red dots made for this footprint. This particular footprint has become very popular, the micro-compact, and everybody's making a red dot to fit it. Some really good ones. So that's a limitation that really isn't a limitation anymore, because the market has caught up with the narrower slides, has made red dots that are narrower and still just equally effective. So overall, if you talk about what you're going to lose, really nothing other than potentially the ability to grip it well. What do you gain with this? Well, it's much easier to hide. It's lighter. Now, the lighter does bring with it the potential negative of it being a little more flippy. I didn't really notice that with either of these. Some of these little micro compacts can be a little bit flippy. That extra 3 ounce can make a difference. So if you've got weaker hands, you may find it's easier to hold on to, keep control of, and manage the recoil of the slightly larger one. If you've got large hands, you may find it's a little more difficult to get a comfortable grip on this. But I'm thinking, unlike a lot of the manufacturers that when they went from their double stack to their micro compact, they gave up things. They took things off. In the case of this one, they didn't take away any features. They just made it smaller and they made it lighter. Even to the point you could actually carry both of them. You could carry this as your primary inside the waistband. You could carry this as an ankle gun backup or a pocket gun backup because the mags are interchangeable. So you do have the flexibility of having one mag that works in either one of these. So I've done some of these compares, and it's been a no-brainer. It's been, you definitely want to pick this one over that one. In this case, because they did such a good job of creating this guy and didn't lose any features and didn't lose any functionality, this was just as reliable as this one from day one. Kind of makes it a little bit harder. It's almost, you just need to pick it up, hold it in your hand, see what fits nice in your hand. In my case, my hands, this one does fit a little bit nicer. Figure out what fits, figure out what's comfortable, and figure out what you're going to do with it. And I really don't think you'll go wrong with either one of them. This one here, as of the making of this video, the TP9, is available in the color pattern you see, the black with the kind of the tungsten look and slide, which I think is really nice looking. The MC9 is available in the flat dark earth you see, all black, and then a black flat dark earth two-tone. So it's not available in this tungsten color. I really do like the look of this one. The TP9 was reliable from day one. The Mete MC9 had a little break-in period, which doesn't seem to be unusual with these little micro compacts. That does happen with them. But once we got through the break-in period, it proved to be reliable. So it needed probably 50, 100 rounds to get to working correctly. But once you got through that, it ran after that. So I would consider both of these to be potentially reliable long-term, just knowing you may have to run this a little bit just to get it started. And both of them have an MSRP of $439.99, so price is not even really a determining factor for these. Beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe, check us out on Facebook, Patreon, Instagram, Twitter, Rumble, Getter, and also check us out on Player, where we can do these videos along with videos that are no longer allowed on YouTube. And thank you.